Welcome everyone to our live stream here on lichess and Twitch. International Master William Paschall. So, game analysis today. It's subscriber stream. Subscribers submit games to me here via lichess Messenger for analysis. I've got games from Schieberspieler, Princess Chess, Mule Skinner, Alright guys, ready to get started here. I've got a message. Move 11. Alright, Move 11 submitting a game as well. He's always got some good games, some thoughtful analysis. Astrobate, good to see you, Mr. Coffee. I was thinking about you, Mr. Coffee. How are you doing? How's everything in the great state of Pennsylvania? Alright. We are getting underway. Schieberspieler, welcome. Astrobate. This is my last stream before Grandmaster Norm tournament, starting tomorrow at 3 p.m. So, no streams. I think maybe Monday I'm going to do a morning stream for an hour. But no streams this weekend. Don't forget, we've got the streamer battle, the streamer mega battle on Sunday, which is still scheduled, although I'm not going to play personally. The team will still be in the event, so if you guys can, come by for the streamer mega battle. I'll be playing over the board at that time, 3 p.m. on Sunday. But today is our last stream until tournament tomorrow. Our last stream of this week. Alright, we're going to be focusing on playing and preparing for my games. So, without further ado, let's go to the message box and go back to my message box. Where am I? Where am I? Spectacular Camel. Well, long time no see. Spectacular Camel. Former subscriber. I've got submissions from the following people who are present: Schieberspieler, Astrobate, Yabadis, otherwise known as Spectacular Camel. Move 11, I assume, is here because he just sent me a message. Mr. Coffee, are you busy at work? Guys, we have like flooding here. It rains every day. We had like 12 hours off, and now like Noah's Ark is necessary again. I was walking down the street today and almost slipped in the mud. The ground was so saturated with water that I like just barely saved myself for like just diving into the ground. What's up, Princess Chess? Excuse me, I'm a subscriber. You are a subscriber, Spectacular Camel. Now he's a subscriber. And listen to this. Prime Gaming. Now you're the first person I've seen with the Prime Gaming. 22-month subscriber for Spectacular Camel. Alright, I should get started. So, where is Schieberspieler? I have this thing with Schieberspieler where he says he sends me messages, but his messages I never get. Wait, let me just search my messages. That works better. Schieber is so hard to spell too. My I key doesn't work. Do you know how hard it is like typing without having the I key? It's ridiculous. Man, I spell it wrong too. I never remember if it's I-E. It confuses the hell out of me. Schieberspieler. That's not right, is it? No, it's the other way. E and I. I before E. It's SCH, duh. That's why I'm not coming up with anything. Why do you have to pick a name that's so hard to spell? Alright. It's got to be I. S-C-H-I-E. Schieber. He would show up. S-C-H-I-E-B-E-R. S-P-I. There he is. But I want to see my messages. There it is. This must be it. He's not a man of many words. Just lichess study. Oh yeah, you told me about it, right? The 10-0 tournament, you started with some ridiculous blunders, and 3 out of 5. Then I defeated the first and second finishing players. This is the game, right? I meant the words in the message when you sent it to me. I don't know why I don't get a notification when Schieber sends me messages. It's really weird. So he's playing a strong player. Krijan Laszlo was a solid, is a very solid IM. I'm surprised to see him under 2,400, but he's been kind of not. He's been very inactive in the last 10 years. So Schieber with white here. Knight f3, d5, d4, and c5. So now what do you do? c4, right? c4 is the only dynamic move for white in this position. Although Rubinstein did pretty well with takes. I was just going to say that Kramnik, I would think, would have played a lot of games with this move order. Oh, wow. Yeah, I think that Krijan Laszlo is about the same age as me. I only played him once. Years ago in 1997. In Szombathely. Or Kőszeg near Szombathely. c4, d takes c. Oh, so he plays the Queen's Gambit accepted. Come to think of it, I think I recall that. I know he plays Alyatkin's defense against e4, which always seemed very risky. D takes c4, e4. Now that's an interesting move. Kind of an unusual move order. Now takes. I've never seen her play this line. It reminds me a little bit of the normal Queen's Gambit accepted, like d4, d5, c4, takes, e4, e5, knight f3, ed, bishop takes c4. Jim, what's up? So anyway, Schieber has his own special move order here. There's some Hungarian players who like this Queen's Gambit accepted with c5, actually. It's a line. Now takes. So I was expecting you to play bishop takes c4 here, but I don't know the theory. Is this not really considered that good, I guess? I mean, it's a lot different now. Black doesn't have a pawn on c7. Black would have a pawn on e7. So this type of gambit isn't as sound, I guess. There's not as much real pressure on f7. Yeah, I don't know. I would assume something with b4. You know, you would have some kind of similar ideas. Some kind of gambit ideas again. It looks like Shirov used it against Kramnik once, but that's kind of unsound. So, let's see. You got the end game. My team leader was following the game. He thought Krijan was already in trouble because of lack of queens. But your opponent had to win as he was fighting for first place. Well, it's not easy to beat you with black with a very solid style, of course. But I mean, white here is better based on the pawn on e4. Little kids? I think I'm only playing one little kid. But little kids are like standard in world-class chess tournaments now, Bob. 14 is not that little. You know, you're lucky if you're not playing like 9, 10, 11-year-olds. I've managed to kind of avoid that for the most part. As long as they're over like 12, I'm happy. So, knight takes d4, a6. Taking away this. Knight b5 idea. So, I mean, in some positions you can leave your king in the center. I'm thinking of those queen's gambits where black has a pawn on c7 more than a pawn on e7. This feels more like a Sicilian. What's that? There's a Walter Brown game from 1982. Castles. So what are your other options? It doesn't seem like white has a lot here. Under no circumstances are you worse, but I mean, how do we play this? Maybe bishop e3, f3. I'm seriously not sure if you should castle or not. Because maybe you should end up putting your king on f2. If you play something like f3 and then bishop e3 and king f2, could that be better than actually castling? f3 is obviously an idea. No one has played that move directly, though. I guess there's more than one little kid I'm going to play. But they're not that little, Bob. So castles, b5, bishop e2. This seems kind of passive. So let's look at bishop e3. Knight f6, f3, Robert Hubner. Where does white end up putting his king in these positions? See? Brown versus Radulov, king f2. Someone actually played king e2. I'm not sure bishop c5 is the best move. But I think that maybe Schieberspieler is making a mistake here. It's easy to like understand what's going on with the opening explorer, but this much is forced. Another question though, like, okay, if he plays knight f6, do you have e5? I assume that's a problem. That's why he has to play e6 first. E6 first. And now if f3, better off waiting for this. You're very slightly better. So this is new, pretty much. William Michael Brown. This guy is a really strong American junior who came out of sort of nowhere. I never saw him, but this is a kid who I noticed had extremely strong results. He might even have the GM title already. He just went from nowhere to like Grandmaster strength in just a couple of years. He's got a game here with Casa Corley that's a draw, 2016. But b5 is a new move, logical. Bishop e2. Could your bishop reestablish on that diagonal? And wow, totally new impression. Your passive play is +1. Well, no one forced him to play b5. You know, I can't believe white is +1 here. I guess. +1 is an exaggeration. But b5, I guess, is risky. Natural move, but I guess he goes over the cliff with that. But I also think Stockfish exaggerates advantages, Schieberspieler. If you analyze the position with like whatever, you know, Leela, it'll be like half of that. Honestly, when Stockfish says it's like +1, I think in reality it's like half a pawn, half a pawn, probably. All of Stockfish's exaggerations probably double the evaluation they should be, realistically. So yeah, I mean, in reality, after castles, b5. I also thought about bishop e3. But this is interesting. You turned it around with a4. That's amazing. He has to play b4. Could he take? How bad is taking? Taking might be less risky than pushing. It's like a classic situation. Knight c3, ba3. Can you do that? Then I guess the b file's a problem. Yeah, Schieberspieler, I mean, this isn't really a kind of position I would normally ever get. But b4 is a typical reaction. This might be lower risk to take. In general, I get that in the St. George a lot. Like when I play the St. George with black, pushing is normally the more aggressive, but oftentimes, even if you don't like it, you're better off taking. So now the c4 square can fall, but he manages to kind of keep the lines closed. And now f3. Question mark, according to the analysis here. Question mark, but a very natural move, of course. Bob, you can't see the names on the board? Oh, I guess you can just barely see them. No, this is not my game, man. But normally this square gets weak. The c4 square. In many variations. Possibly a5. So he plays this, this. You know, optically, it doesn't look like white has anything to the naked eye. Black's pawn on b4 is slightly overextended. The c4 square is a little bit weak. To a fierce attacking player, it may seem like totally an equal position. But your pawn on e4 leads to an advantage. And I don't know about this, but he was afraid of knight a5. Which is a problem. Like, where's this bishop going to go if you hit him with knight a5? DK guy, what? Thank you. He can't give up the dark squared bishop, so I guess this is forced. And now you have a5 gaining more space. Now he goes bishop a7. Now the c file. Wow, you just picked off his pawn. I was sitting here thinking you're going to play rook here. Man, but b4 just falls. Just always ask yourself, how can I win material? He artificially isolated the pawn on b4. Kind of Karpovian. Play by Schieberspieler. I compared him to Capablanca earlier, but I'm going to have to change it to Karpov, I think. Yeah, Bob, a lot of people are obsessed with not moving their f-pawns, but you can't play chess like that. But I still think the king should go to f2. Honestly now, rook b8. Black seeks counterplay along the b file. Schieberspieler has this problem that his b pawn is way, way behind his a pawn. You normally want your pawns to be united, so it's possible that Krijan has some counterplay with these files here, potentially. And I'm just really unhappy about my bishop being unprotected. I want to play king f2 very, very much. Of course, if you do play king f2, you have to watch out for tactics. There could be sacrifices on e4. Bishop c5 seems sort of strange. So Schieberspieler's comment is that his opponent offered a draw, and he would have to be a very strong grandmaster to make him think about a draw in this position. Confidence is key. Yeah, well, you can't blame him for trying. He's 100 points higher rated. There are some people who might be intimidated enough by a 100 points higher rated player to accept a draw. It's an active looking move, but it looks like, you know, and I think this is another thing. I think oftentimes, like, people might make mistakes with the move they offer a draw with. Oftentimes you're, like, nervous. You're hoping the other guy takes a draw. And you just kind of, like, make a random move and offer a draw. It's possible, like, he's, like, distracted by the draw for even makes a bad move. It seems to me, like, with bishop here, is he helping you play b4 later on? Okay, I don't know. After bishop c5, rook c4, bishop a8. Can he play something like bishop a8 and stop you from playing b4? What about this? Am I missing something here? You at least are stopped from playing b4. But the main thing is that he has to try to stop b4 and stop general movement of white. You know, we don't want white to connect his pawns. But I guess the position is more complicated than that. If bishop a8, now he has problems with the a6 pawn. Black may just be, like, in big trouble. Bishop a8 leaves the a6 pawn weak. I don't know. Honestly, I guess he's probably just lost here. It doesn't look like black has much counterplay of any sort. I don't know what to suggest, really. Maybe something weird like knight to c5. But he has really no threats. It's amazingly difficult for black to generate any threats. So he just basically wasted time. Now he's threatening knight e5, though. I don't know. Is there a point behind bishop c5? I mean, what can black possibly do here constructively in this position? I don't really get it. Rook c8, I guess. I don't know what to suggest. What if there's some sort of constructive move? I'd like to see it. You know? I don't know what he can do. Knight c5 just sort of hanging out. Doesn't do anything. So he plays this, but that also doesn't do anything. I don't feel like he constructed anything with this. He is threatening knight e5, though, it looks like. So finally king f2. We have to watch for tactics with knight g4 and knight e4. Now there's not a problem with e4 because of the knight there. But there could be a knight fork or a sacrifice. Double knights controlled by that bishop. And now rook b4. Bishop takes, bishop takes, bishop takes, rook takes. If bishop takes, rook takes. He played knight e8. Knight b3. Knight d7. White's just creeping up on him. Now he doesn't have knight c5 any longer. King f8. And now trading pieces. Black must take on e3. Knight takes. And every time we trade pieces, we get closer to a winning endgame. It's not like he's just down a pawn. He's down a pawn, and he has to worry about that stupid pawn on a6. Just trading more pieces. Is this a threat? Not really. We just play king e1. This was really a bad game. I mean, black never had any kind of chance. Now, obviously, bishop takes a6 doesn't really help. We don't want to trade necessarily, give black a rook on the 7th. So you did what? Check. Trade more. And now you took... This is sick. He's down 2 pawns. This is a surprising move for me. I thought you would take on b7. Is there some objection to taking? Is there a problem? Do you have a problem here with rook takes? Like your pawns are weak or something? Yeah, I mean, you have to calculate. It could be a problem. He could come up and eat the pawns. It's true. It looks like it may be a problem. For example, like b4, king a6, knight c2. Your king needs to get over there. I mean, you're probably winning, but I'm just wondering. Now he can at least try to avoid trading rooks, but b4 is over. Yeah, objectively, the way he played it is just giving him no hope of resistance. 2 connected pawns. This is another pawn over here, but there's some sort of trap with king d7. You could probably take it though. Rook takes, king d7, bishop c4, knight d6, something like bishop d5. But it's a little weird with low time to get your rook trapped. So you don't want to do that. Make sure you don't allow too many complications with time pressure. And this is crushing. Crunching. Check. And I think it's time to resign. Oof. Alright, that was overwhelming. Another reason to play the Queen's Gambit accepted. c5, c4. D takes c4, e4. Interesting. Most of the time people play e3 here. And this is also a move, right? e6, e4. Yeah, but I don't like d5. But this is interesting. e4. c d4. Queen d4. Nice endgame. Coach Al, what's up? I've got a submission here from Batan. Alright, Schieberspieler. Nice game. Look very smooth. Thanks for submitting. Schieberspieler, you have a tournament this weekend or next weekend? You said next weekend, right? Guys, welcome to the stream. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I could teach you too much there, Schieberspieler. But that's the first time I've seen that line, honestly, with e4. I never thought about it. I only played the Queen's Gambit accepted a few times with black, and with white, I've always usually played e3. So I don't know this variation. Alright, Princess Chess is up next. Princess Chess submitted a game. Here are your thoughts on Pawn to Swiss game from my perspective. Oh. Wait, was this right? This has to be right. Pawn to Swiss game from your perspective. Oh no. You cancel your tournament? Any particular reason? COVID concerns? Oh god, the 100-move game. Alright, we'll try to keep this concise because it's like a 75-move game and I don't want to spend 20 minutes on one game. So Princess Chess is white, I play d5, pawn takes d5, knight f6. Look, this sucks for black, but I only use it against certain opponents who maybe don't know, let's say they haven't spent time to really try to find a good system. I also like to play it against people who don't like open positions. I knew that Princess Chess doesn't have a worked out system against this. Generally, I won't play this anymore in serious games because of its suckiness. But here she plays knight c3, which is a transition to like a knight c3 Alekhine. It's not really a big deal, but it is reasonable for white. White is equal, let's say. I'm black here. White play knight f3. This is very solid. I don't really like taking on c3 and increasing white's central majority. That's why I always play bishop g4 in this position. But I was thinking about it and I decided to try something different. Typically, I think last time I had a game with her where I played bishop g4. And I've played this a lot. But this is maybe the first time where I've actually played g6. So g6, bishop e2. Very passive move now by white. I'm criticizing everyone who plays bishop e2 as playing passively. 2 games in a row now. But this really is passive. I gave serious consideration to playing knight f4 now. Anybody? Schieberspieler, how do you feel about that? Do you like knight f4? I know how much you like bishops, but I'm just not worried. I'm not sure that it's justified to lag in development here or not. Bob, I don't know. You're kind of late. On time. Knight f4 is interesting. I remember I played it in a simul game I lost against a guy years ago, like a 1900 player. He was pretty tricky. Alright, my virus software is pissing me off now. I hate you, Norton. Alright, so bishop g7, then she takes on d5. I was like, what? But it was an actual inaccuracy. I was so obsessed with playing yeah, that's another question actually. Should I play c5 maybe? If you want to really argue it. If you really want to argue about this position, should black maybe play c5 right away? Technically. Get it in while it's good. This might be more accurate. I play bishop g7. She takes here, which is sort of lame. I develop my queen, and then white should play d4, I guess. Laying claim to the center. There's 2 Gareev games. I don't know if that's good or bad. Black plays c5 anyway. But after this, white castle now should definitely play c5. And I think that black has a good game now. After c5, we have superior control of d4. Black is actually better. So Princess just made a serious mistake there. And I made a serious mistake not capitalizing. In fact, even e5 is a good move. I don't like it as much as c5 personally. And now I was just pissed because I don't have any advantage. And the problem is if I play c takes d, they take with the knight. And there's a Schieberspieler maneuver with bishop e2, bishop f3. Which is kind of something that could happen in that Queen's Gambit. Accepted too if black isn't playing bishop b7, I guess. Bishop comes out on f3 very strongly, and then all of a sudden the white queenside majority can be an advantage. Rubinstein French. So I decided to play knight c6 and take my chances. And white could play c4 here and d5, but I thought this is probably complex. You know, if we play this, this would be a very Grunfeld-like position, but still chances to outplay white. But she didn't do anything. Just takes, very safe. And now it's a c3 Sicilian. Bishop e3, queen a5, queen c2. And this sort of tricked me. I mean, I thought I'm playing a useful move here with bishop f5, but maybe not. Ultimately, queen c2 is just a kind of quiet move. Maybe I should have played queen c7, tried to take advantage of the queen there, and hit her with the queenside minority attack, or just b6, and bishop b7. This looks like it's better. So this reactionary move, bishop f5, was sort of stupid. And I expected her to go bishop d3 and trade pieces. I don't have to trade pieces, but that's what I expected. But this move was really irritating. Now queen b3. I can't play b5. So now I have to go back and then rook d1. And black is only equal. And here I didn't want to just wholesale exchange everything, so I'm trying to play to win. Rook b8 and then very strong a4, stopping minority attack. If I play a6, I have a problem with the b6 square. So it's hard for me to, now I can't use my queenside minority attack. And then it's hard for black to come up with a winning plan. It's basically a draw, I think. Likely to be a draw. So I played b6. Just to prevent a5, maybe play knight a5. White's fully equal now. Rook d2, knight a5, queen d1. I'm not sure if she planned that. You could play queen a3 here as well, keeping an eye on the a3, e7 diagonal, I guess. Trying to get the other rook in. I was happy that she didn't plan that, but I was happy that I got the bishop pair, and I thought I was better. But now white can try to trade the dark square bishops with bishop d4. I guess that's not a problem. I could go bishop h6. Maybe. So she played knight d4. And bishop d7 had some problem with knight b5, I think, here. This is hit and this is hit. So I would have to take, and honestly, I'm probably equal at best here with black. So I try to play bishop c8 to get the bishop to the long diagonal and avoid exchanges. But I was really concerned about knight b5, so I played a6. I don't know if the computer found an improvement anywhere for me. And then this was strong. I noted this after the game. White transfers their pawns to the white squares. And that makes sense with the dark square bishop. She has white square pawns, f3, g2, c4, b3, a4. And her pawns control white. Her bishop's controlling the dark squares. Even though it looks like black is better on paper with the bishop pair, I couldn't really come up with anything. Maybe in the right moment e5. That's my chance. I was a little too obsessed with playing like bishop e7. But I mean, I need to use my kingside majority. So like e5 here. Of course, there's danger too, like 92, 93, 95. f5, I guess. f3, followed by giving this a retreat square, followed by knight c3, knight d5. I suppose if I had a long game, I could make something out of this for black. If I had more time with the kingside majority. But I mean, then again, white has counterplay on the queen side as well. Potentially c5, this plan I was talking about. If you turn on the engine, it says it's like equal. f4, very surprising move here, but it's a nice sack. The computer plays a pawn sack now, using that kingside majority. That's a pretty nasty line. So this kind of thing would be possible for black if I played e5, but instead I played bishop e7. Just hoping that white will make a mistake. She didn't make any mistakes. This was a mistake, apparently, queen g4, which did look weird, honestly. I'm not sure if they were heading for h4, g3. I mean, you're just begging me to play f5 here. But then that square is scary. But I'm not sure where you go on f5. Thanks for subscribing, HTFP, Tier 2, 22 months for Tier 2. I know that the engine said e5. And that's again my chance to use my kingside majority. But, you know, seriously, on queen g4, f5, you probably never have knight e6 because I have queen c6 and mate threats here. If you go somewhere like queen h4, you're not really threatening knight e6. So I can do e5, for example. This starts to look kind of promising for black. Here, queen c6 winning. So where would white go with the queen if I play f5? Maybe there's some weird move, queen g5, queen h3, maybe queen h3, guarding the g2 square and staying out of trouble. Now this is a legit threat with knight e6. No, I think queen h3. But you're saying queen g3 is legit? Because f4, you have a tactic with knight e6. But this ending, black structure sucks. But I don't think she has to do that. Like, this might be a good move. Is this scary anyway? Well, no, I mean, the point is now I have 96. I can sack the queen. I don't think that's going to be enough. No. The queen g4 was a very strange move. This was a stupid reaction. I played h5. Do you ever play and you know that the move you're playing is stupid, but you play it anyway? Because I didn't want to get behind on time. But I knew this was a bad move that basically did nothing. h5. This is stupid. And then white realized they had made a mistake, so they went back to e2. Now I can still play e5. Wait, now I played this, and I thought I had some initiative here. Then another hesitant move with bishop f6, rook d1, rook d8, no plan, knight f3. And now Rook takes rook. Queen takes. I was sort of stunned. I absolutely expected White to play rook takes d2. 100%. Keeping control of the open file. Protecting f3. Never did I expect Black to be allowed to play bishop takes f3. You know, I just thought, oh gosh, you know, there has to be something I can do to her king side. But the judgment here is excellent, you know. Surprisingly, I shouldn't take this knight. But now I've given up the file for no reason. So rook takes d2 is probably just a mistake. Now, after bishop f3, g takes f3, Schieber-Spieler will point out that White has a queenside majority. And that becomes kind of relevant. So bishop f3 is stupid, but rook takes d2 is stupid. You know, I have to try to find a way to play for a win here with Black. Not easy, though. Probably White is only very slightly worse. The computer is saying 0. It's a little surprising for me. I would think having the bishop pair would give Black a small pull. But I guess h5 wasn't the best move. And White has doubled on the d file. So I thought I would get something here, but my queen has no way to penetrate into the position. Yeah, the queenside majority is just there. You know, it's there. This long-term advantage, which I have to keep an eye on, and I have no way to get in. Even if I could put my queen on like f5, White just plays like king g2. And there's nothing I can do to attack her. And there's the queenside majority again. So it's really not easy. This was a stupid move. Maybe I'm going to turn off the engine here so I don't have more hints, but maybe I could play queen e5, I was thinking. Because with queen e5, my queen would stay active. I would have this square down here, maybe coming down on c3. What I don't want is to simplify and trade pieces into a slightly worse rook endgame or something. I tried very hard, but it was too late by the time I tried to get my queen active. So queen e5, what's the problem? Oh, it drops the exchange with bishop f4. Why don't you guys tell me? Why don't anybody speak up that this just loses by force to bishop f4? That's why I didn't play it. Well, if I could have, I would have played queen e5. So I'm screwed. Like, there's no way in the position. Now I'm just queen on the center, square on d5. If I trade into the endgame, I'm almost lost. Probably this wasn't the best move. Maybe I should play queen c8 if I'm going to avoid the exchange of queens. At least queen c8 attacks our h3 pawn, I guess. There's a small chance I could play like b5 to try to break and create some open line on the queen side later. But queen e8, it's a ridiculous plan. I was already thinking about, I don't know, transferring my queen to the long diagonal or trying something desperate. So I tried all sorts of desperate stuff here. I'm desperately trying to play for a win when I'm slightly worse. Well, clearly worse now. But we're both with less than, you know, a minute. And then I had e6. Why is b6 not hanging? I have queen b4. Maybe I have some kind of trick with queen b4. Bishop b6, queen b4, queen b7. Queen b7. What do I do? I'm not sure. Queen b4, queen b7, rook f8. What did I just do? My God. All right. Rook f8. And then any kind of good move here. Rook d3. Check. King G2. Even F2 is protected. It looks like white is just winning. I don't know how I'll ever get any threats. G5. I got my queen to G5 eventually in the game. After E6, bishop D6. I thought she could have taken the pawn. Bishop D6, queen H6. Bishop C7, queen G5 check. King H2, queen F5. King G2. And I should take a draw here. I'm slightly worse. It's kind of irrational. But I thought that she has a chance to misplay it after the bishops go off the board because of white structure. Bishop E5, take, King G2. Queen G5 check, King H2. If it was like a tournament game against the same rated player, I would be happy for a draw. I would be satisfied with a draw here against an equally rated player in a long game, but I mean, it's a blitz game against a low rated player. They should make a mistake, but she just didn't make any mistakes. Queen C5, Queen D4. Trading queens is awful for me. Any kind of rook endgame with that queenside majority and control the open file. So I try to avoid the change of queens. And then A5. I'm not sure if A5 is good or not. Then I think I still have chances to just draw here, realistically. Even F3 was a sort of success. I managed to force her to move a pawn. But the queen can't get in. Maybe I should try A3, but I'm just dropping a pawn there. So there's no way to penetrate. A draw here would be a good result. Now I start to go crazy. I mean, this is ridiculous, like Queen A7. Torturing me by making me see this again. Queen A7 is like desperate. Trying to avoid repetition. And I can't trade queens. So I should take a draw. Then I just irrationally avoid the exchange and drop the B6 pawn. Queen B6, Rook B8, Queen E3, and then another thing happens where I drop the A5 pawn in one movement. And now it's just like game over if she plays Queen takes A5, but she didn't see it. She played this. And so I still have a chance. And after trading rooks, I'm not sure if we should trade rooks or not. Because the B4 pawn is hard to advance, you know, this is not so easy for white to win. I mean, I don't know that this is a winning position. Her chance to win was definitely taking on A5. And I don't know. Maybe I'm even losing in some lines, potentially. But I'm happy with the draw now. It's enough. 74 moves. You think black is fine after Queen A7? Which position? Here, move 55. But it's realistically like ridiculous. Square. I guess I should have played Queen B7, you know, not Queen A7. Like, I'm not going to achieve anything by playing Queen A7, realistically. It's just sort of a stupid square. But I just blundered my B6 pawn. Trying to avoid the repetition. It was a threat of threefold rep. If I play Queen B7, it's a threefold rep. So I play Queen A8 and drop my B6 pawn instead. Anyway, good game. Alright guys, so it's been a long 2 games. I've been streaming for an hour and only covered 2 games. We got to pick up the pace a little bit. I have messages. Berserker and Bob. I don't think we're going to have time for that. If you're late, you're late. So I'm streaming for 2 more hours till 9:30. We'll get in as many games as we can. Mule Skinner submitted a game on time. On time is late, and late is inexcusable. So where's move Mule Skinner? Mule Skinner. Mule Skinner should be after Princess Chess. There it is. Alright. Guys, thanks for joining my stream. Don't forget to submit games in a timely fashion for the Thursday streams. Next week we're off, but I'm gonna try to do 1-hour streams, like a brief 1-hour stream. You're welcome, Princess Chess. I'm going to try to do a brief 1 hour stream on Monday and Wednesday, I think, at 11 at the normal time. But I really can't do more than an hour. Just to let you guys know what's going on. Keep the continuity. Demo Beast just began following. Demo Beast 1234, thanks. I'm going to be playing in a closed GM Norm tournament starting tomorrow here in Budapest. Mule Skinner, I just don't know where the game is. Okay, game for Thursday analysis. First, over the board games since lockdown. Wow. Your opponent was FIDE 1100. I know things are getting crazy in Europe again, and Spain is probably... I don't know if Mule Skinner is here. Spain has been very seriously hit by COVID again. I don't know if Mule Skinner is going to get any more games anytime soon. I think he lives in Spain. Alright, so Mule Skinner playing white. Let's flip the board. We'll do some analysis. Yeah, I can do that on the Monday and Wednesday mornings. Mr. Coffee, 500 bits for the zombie Halloween donation. We'll be back in time for Halloween, guys. Don't worry. Regular streaming schedule will be back in time for Halloween. Mr. Coffee with in honor of Merle Dixon. Zombie donation of 500 bits. Thanks, man. Happy Halloween in advance. Wow, Mule Skinner played e4, e6, knight f3. So, okay, the first weird thing is that Mule Skinner plays the French. Wait, maybe Mule Skinner's black. That would make more sense. I guess Mule Skinner's probably black. Duh. Why did I assume he was white? I don't know, because it was e4. So, Schieberspieler, see you soon. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, Mule Skinner has to be black. He would never play like with white with knight f3 against his own defense. Knight f3 slightly inaccurate. After d5, you have to either take or push, or knight c3. I mean, none of the moves are that great for white. I don't think a French player would play knight f3 against the French. Schieberspieler, cheers. Thank you for joining us. Now e5. e5, c5, c3. This transposes to a game I lost to Ed Formanek in like 1992. I played d4. But I mean, I have no business playing d4. My problem was that I don't play the French. It was a Sicilian move order. And I just never played the French. And I didn't want to get into a pure French, so I played this. It's a move, but it's risky. And playing a higher rated player, I really shouldn't have been, I think, imbalancing the game. But Mule Skinner has no need to do that. He's playing the French usually, and the advanced variation shouldn't be a problem. So here, d4, and now knight on ge7. Someone else I know played this. Another one of the players that I worked with who played the French. Yeah, it's not that common, but it's perfectly fine for black. It looks like the main moves are bishop d7 and queen b6. I mean, I'm most familiar with queen b6. This is kind of like the main line. Less common move. Another interesting move for black I like is knight h6. That's even less common than knight e7. But I'm a fan of e4, knight h6, so this is kind of like right up my alley. I really like when they play bishop takes h6. But knight e7. Now bishop e5. So Mr. Coffee's played it as well. Knight a3. I wasn't referring to you, but you're right. Knight a3, knight f5, or sorry, cd5, cd4, cd4, knight f5, and knight c2. We get into kind of like a main variation there. So knight e7 here is just non. This is not a move. White needs the white square bishop. That's their good bishop. So typically we don't want to exchange that off, because what's going to protect all the white squares in the future? In certain situations in the Nimzovich style, if white is like taken on c5 or taken on f6, if there are outpost squares on e5 and d4, sometimes giving up the bishop could be valid if it has to do with establishing a knight on e5, establishing a strong piece on d4 or something like that. But in a vacuum, white never wants to trade this bishop off for nothing. Now you see here there's a game where somebody played like a6, which is playable. My intuition is that the bishop is incorrectly placed, so it almost seems a pity to like attack it with a6. a6 is not that useful of a move for black here. Queen b6 maybe, but I like Muleskinner's move as well. This is the developing move, casting down on bishop e5. Now if d takes c5, knight takes e5, knight takes e5, bishop takes b5. That seems interesting for black. Yeah, Mr. Coffee. Yeah, you better understand. Bishop d7. And he dropped the pawn in the classic Nimzovich blunder, allowing knight to c5. Nimzovich has a game where, like, with white, some guy like did this tactic in a position where it didn't work. Like white was able to get a lot of attacking chances after knight e5. You know, bishop takes, queen h5 or something. You know, there could be some positions where it's not the end of the story. We just don't lose a pawn. White has some sort of compensation. Here, however, in this line, I mean, at the bare minimum, we have knight g6, for example. Knight g6, and then if knight g6, pawn g6, and the rook's hanging to bishop takes f1. So white doesn't have any kind of tricks. I mean, black doesn't have any kind of tricks here. He's just losing his central pawn. So I guess white should just exchange on d7. Bishop d7, knight d7. Astrobate. White should probably just accept that he lost the pawn and play on. He's down a pawn for nothing. Of course it's bad for white, but I mean there's still the hope that black king is still in the center. We might be able to get some counterplay for white. But in general, that's why we don't put our bishop on b5. You don't want to get your white square bishop traded off, let alone drop a pawn. But this guy's a beginner. You know, he's an 1100. No, but queen a5? No, never play queen a5. Jim said queen a5. You mean move 6? Or move 5? This move doesn't have a very good score, Jim. Okay, Demo Beast, thank you. For example, a Zhigalko game, d takes c. Now, strangely, black played queen c7 here. White played b4. But, yeah, that's not a good idea. Anyway, knight takes e5, knight e5, bishop takes b5, and now rook e1. That's a sensible move. What to play here? f6 is possible, but weakens our position pretty seriously. You got to at least consider this move. I mean, queen h5 check doesn't work because of g6, I guess. If knight f3, then we have this problem with this pawn. And in the meantime, our pawn is hanging on c5. So I'm not sure about this, To be frank, like, white's probably worse after king f7, dc5, e5. But, you know, it would be a kind of messy game. Black is such a strong center, even with the playing the Fred or whatever this is. Alright, so takes, rook e1. Kind of a tricky situation here. He played knight f5, guarding c5. The only thing you have to think about is g4. Or possibly moves that threaten to attack your knight, like queen f3. But this move, blind development, really not great. And then a4. And now where do we go? a6, c6, or d7? We could lose a piece. Bishop a6 takes, bishop takes, b4, and possibly b5. So I guess this is also possible, but again, the push would be for b5. Bishop d7 is the most solid move. Take, b4. And I don't know the white achieves anything here. I don't think the white achieves anything at this point. b4 has no point other than to kind of weaken white, weaken his pawns on the queen side. I think at that stage, well, he is driving the bishop off c5, but I mean, what's the point of even taking on c5 then? You know, I don't even think this has a point. To weaken white's control of the center, ultimately. I don't know what to suggest for white, though. Do you guys have a suggestion? Knight d2 seems to drop a pawn, and that would be the only kind of normal move white can play. I guess knight a3, if you have to make a move here. But I still like black after pawn takes pawn. White's structure is bad. He's down a clear pawn. No compensation. So I don't know what to suggest. Take b4, bishop e7, knight a3, castles. We out of here. Now you're just up a clear pawn. Yeah, just b4 is dropping now. Another pawn with tempo. And white at least is trying to undermine black's center with c4. It was a good principle behind it, trying to attack the strong central pawn. Now, for example, bishop c6 might be a decent move. That's what he did. That's my best suggestion. I agree. And he just dropped a piece. So, it's over. Anyway, white's lost here. He's down 2 pawns for nothing. And no compensation. That's it. Dropped everything. No contest, but a good instructive game for beginners. Alright, Mule Skinner needs a little more competition. Clearly. Ouch. So, next game. That was a little one-sided. Beginner meets French defense. Asterbait, what's up? Where do we got your submission? Okay. Yeah, I didn't have enough time to get my rooks. What is this? That's not it. Here. What is this? Is this the right king? Oh, yeah. Alright, let's see. El único. El único. Alright, Asterbait's black. It's the classic white trying to play the London system. You should just play c5 on move 1 and really... I love it when they do this, like bishop f4, c takes d4. Wait, where did my center go? You mean the London system doesn't work against c5? So, no. Knight f6, bishop f4. Oh, this is strange. He delayed it with knight f3. Old school. And now he decides to play the London system. This is one of my former teammates, Isaac, who actually wasn't a bad player. I don't know why he would play this, but I guess he just didn't want to play theory. So Maximovich, also a reasonable player. I don't know what these guys are doing playing this with white. It's awful. But Astrobate has a nice trick here. I try to teach people, if you can, destroy the center. So CD4. And now white has to know some kind of trick. Obviously, if queen takes d4, knight c6, we gain time on the queen. So 3 players here, including Isaac twice, played bishop takes b8. Wonder why they did that. Bishop takes b8. It's possible to play queen a5 check, speaking of Jim. This is Milan Matulovic playing black. Famous grandmaster. Against another guy I beat Maximovich in Belgrade. I've never met Matulovic though. Queen a5 check. I would be concerned about like b4. Queen b4, c3. The problem is like pawn takes pawn and the threat of c2 check. I guess a3, c2 check is a bit of an issue. Not c2 check, sorry. Whoops. Queen a5. Maybe we want to play queen a5 first, and then we get around to recapturing the bishop on b8. It's a reversed Baltic defense, essentially. So Maximovich played queen d2, knight d2, rook b8, and he's like groveling for a draw with white now against the 2 bishops. Matulovic played d5, and we played e4, which is wild. I don't really understand how black can't be slightly better here. Clearly better according to the computer. Anyway, Astrobate has a neat trick for you guys. Knight takes d4. So, black to move and win. Astrobate 0 inaccuracies, 0 mistakes, 0 blunders. 12 cent upon loss. Pretty impressive. Yeah, e5. Wins a piece. Yeah, that's it. Game over. He wins the whole piece. Takes, queen a5 check. c3, queen takes e5. Thank you very much. e3. And now the best part is, though, he made no inaccuracies for the rest of the game. Dude, that's pretty impressive. No inaccuracies. Castle, d5. Knight g4 threatening mate in 1. Knight f3. Queen h5. h3. Damn, dude. But this is the more impressive move. Wow. Almost anybody in their right mind would have played knight f6 now. Possibly knight e5 or something. But Astrobate finds bishop d6. That's just sick, man. How does that even work, actually? How does this even work? I'm confused. Okay, so HG, bishop g4, knight d2, bishop h2 check, king h1. I don't understand. So let me understand this. Take, bishop takes g4, Georgi Gangadze, Berger. Highlight my message for Berger. But what I don't get is this part. What happens after this move? Are you serious? White is lost here? Well, all I know is the engine said he made no inaccuracies. But I mean, how do we win this position? Bishop h2 check, king h1. I don't know. I mean, I assume it would be like knight to e5 with a second decoy. But how would that even work? How do we have time for that? Wow, it is. Rook e8. Maybe Astrobate has rook e8, rook e6, rook h6. Like Mule Skinner would do that in a... Damn. Rook e8 and the best move is... Knight h2. Why can't we get out of the pin or something? Please get me out of this pin. So for example, queen a4. Check, king over, rook e6. But there's a mate here. Hello. This is crazy. Slow motion. Rook e1. We can't go rook h6 because of the mate. And now white's starting to run away with maybe king f1, king e2. So now you have to play knight a6 or knight d7. Knight d7. Astrobate saw all this, obviously. King f1, trying to run away. Now knight c5. But we can improve white's play. Let's play queen c2 instead of queen a4. Queen c2. Rook e6. Bishop h7 check. King f8. Now the threat is rook h6. So it's all piece play. The truth is that Astrobate didn't see all this. But it's not to say that he wouldn't have found it. You know, once he was put in that situation, I would say there's a chance he would have found the right continuations. But white has to take on g4 and take their chances. Now the engine says the best defense is rook e1, actually. That's interesting. Rook e1 first to try immediate evacuation. Immediate evacuation is best. Do not ignore your evacuation measures. Pretty nasty attack here for black. Anyway, Astrobate concluded the game with knight e2, knight e5. When he's simply a piece up. Knight e5, queen e5, threatening mate in 1. Now white didn't blunder mate in 1, but he played f4, which loses a lot of material. Check, king h1, queen d3, knight b3, queen f5, queen f6, knight c6, and now bishop takes h3, bishop g4, queen h6 check, bishop c5. Now all the pieces are in the game. No inaccuracies for Astrobate the whole game, apparently. Queen h3 check. I think we should have an investigation, Bob. Highly suspicious. Now it's mate in 4, apparently. And now it's mate in 1. Alright. Next in line for the investigation committee, Astrobate. Yabanis is up next with his game. Thanks for resubscribing, Mr. Camel. Where is Yabanis' game? One of my better games. No little compliment. All right. Guys, we've got about an hour and a half left in the stream. What am I saying? We have an hour. We have an hour left. I normally do 2.5 hour streams this night. All right, we've got an hour left. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games. 10 minutes per game. I've got to get my beauty sleep for my tournament tomorrow, so I don't want to go too long. No computer analysis. C5. Now, I'm surprised White didn't play bishop f4. Now, we could get the same opening if you play knight f6 here and try to trick him. But he played, with the prevalence of the London system, I wouldn't be surprised. He played takes immediately. This is the correct move. I mean, White has to, you know, if you have to play the London system or something, you have to play something to support your pawn here. C3, but the best move is D5. See, the problem with a lot of people who play blind openings like the London system, they think it's like a one-shot opening. But what are you going to do when black plays C5? You can't play bishop f4. You have to think for yourself. You have to play a Benoni structure now. It's not enough to play the London system. You have to play chess too. So knight f3, cd4, knight takes d4. And I tried to explain to Yubatis that I think this is the best move. White will struggle for equality at this point. I think I was looking at c4. Kramnik-Dlugy. I don't know what that could be. Where would Kramnik have played Dlugy in 1999? Was he like giving a simul or something? The completely out of practice Dlugy playing Kramnik, maybe like a blitz game or something. So c4, yeah, anyway, I think that's best. You could also play g3, but black instead transposes to the symmetrical English. This is not a critical test, though. This is a mistake because Spectacular Camel or Yubatis is letting white transpose to a normal opening after c4. Good evening in the Eastern Bloc. We are not Eastern Bloc. In Hungary, we are Central Europe here. We're the eastern side of Central Europe, admittedly, but it's still central. Very defensive about that. All right, so c4, e5. This is a highly unusual move. Bob, Spectacular Camel would never use Norton antivirus. E5, knight f5, d6. It's like old habits die hard. It's better than McAfee. He's going to jail. I think, you know, you can just get a free virus software like what's it called? I can't remember the name now. Anyways, knight f5. This is a very strange move. Knight b5 is good, or the more passive knight c2, I would say. But instead, we have knight f5. Now, my first thought is, why can't black play d5 in this position? Actually, is this black's best move? Yubatis didn't play d5. He's clearly not a true Sveshnikov player. After d5, pawn takes. Bishop takes f5. Pawn takes c6. Queen d1 check. King d1. The only question is it equal or is black better? But I mean, it isn't fun to take the queens off the board, is it? The computer says that black is slightly better. But just slightly, barely better. So, that raises an interesting question. What is the best move here? Guys, what's the moral of the story? The Avast. Yeah, I mean, Avast is free. Avast is okay. They send you annoying messages too. I have that on another one of my machines in the house. But it also sends you like these fake sort of spammy messages, like to warn you about stuff that's not really there. They have to try to make money. The moral of the story is that sometimes playing the best move is not necessarily the best move. Sometimes the best move is not best. That's the moral of the story. So but why do you cling to all these like random topics when we're trying to discuss chess games here? Bob's like desperate to find some sort of absurd distractionary topic. Nothing good tonight. The best you could grab onto was like antivirus discussion. You got to come up with something better than that, man. That's just boring. Knight f5, d6. Yeah, now white makes a horrible move. I mean, first of all, e4 is probably not that bad. Secondly, if you're going to move your knight somewhere, other than h4, I think the worst square is probably g3. Very little future here. But e3 is the magic move. Like here you're on d5, you're supporting the pawn. Yes, there's a downside, the bishop's blocked. But anyway, then I can go to d5, get out of the way on a good post. But this move is horrific, knight g3. And now I thought he should have played f5. It wouldn't be absurd to play h5, probably. Chase it down. I love lobster style rook pawns. h5, h3. I'd be willing to bet black is better after h5. Ah, there it is. Oh, no, it was like momentarily to black's advantage, but now the computer's claiming plus 0.2 for white. h5. All right, g6. I don't like this. Why are you playing g6? Because I don't like the bishop coming to this diagonal. It's blocked by the pawn on e5. He should have just played like f5. Actually, Abatis told me about this game before, and I think he understood the importance of the e4 square. So that was a mistake. It's still not too late to play f5. He plays it one move too late because he played bishop g7 and white could have played this, attacking d6, which would be embarrassing. Because now, king e7 is really not an option. You have to play bishop f8. Like that's the embarrassing move in the King's Indian sometimes with the Benoni, when you have to play like bishop f8. Here is non-threatening. And then f5. It's like, whew, okay. Now the knight is shut out forever. We will not have any problems with that piece. h4. That was the engine's #1 move, by the way. Surprisingly. And my joke is that if that's white's best move, you know he has a bad position. Seriously. Optically, it doesn't look that bad. Developmentally, it's like equal, but this knight is stuck out of the game forever. And also, this bishop can't develop. Where is he going to put his king? h6 is good. I don't understand a3. And now knight e7. I also suggested this move. Possibly trade the knights, put the other knight on f6. Here's good, though. And then bishop e6. Okay. I also think you could just take, and black is better. It might look like white is better because black has a backward pawn on d6. But realistically, for how long? For very short time, I would assume. queen e7 followed by like bishop e6 and rook d8. Maybe there's one chance. No, I don't know how white would stop bishop e6 and rook d8 and d5 with a great position for black. He could take with the pawn, and that's also good for black. I thought here, I'm not sure if you go to b8 or e7, but for example here, check, even king f7, probably better for black. The number one way to drop a piece, by the way, according to the Family Feud, is queen a5 check. Has anyone else seen that episode? Never play queen a5. So white plays knight c3, undeveloping, and black could obviously play d5. That's like Bob's favorite TV show. They always have sexual themes in all the questions. At least in the modern Family Feud. I think Bob enjoys that. You didn't like the old ones. They're more conservative. I mean, I know Saturday Night Live does Family Feud skits, or used to. But it'd be funny to have like combining like a It'd be funny to combine like a modern Family Feud skit with Trump and the White House. That'd be cool. I want to see like a Saturday Night Live with Family Feud, Biden and Democrats versus Trump and Republicans. Bishop e6, knight c3, and now a6. Bishop e2, castles, b4. As I said earlier, where is white putting his king? But, you know, it's hard to castle kingside after you played h4 and you, like, chronically weakened your kingside. White's king is stuck in the center. b4 doesn't help because he weakens his diagonal. But now it seems like black's probably got e4 ideas. He's insisting on completing his development, very principled. And then f4, sudden, violent attack. Out of nowhere. Take. The niceties of pawn structure. Black has an isolated pawn at d6. Don't matter here. Dynamism is everything. Knight e4, knight f5, protecting d6. I think if I was white, I might consider castling. Where is that white king going? You know? Maybe king f1? This is getting scary. Here, it's possibly not that clear. Can white castle in this position? The Asterbait maneuver with rook a2. Looks like a good diagonal for a rook. So he's just lost here. Down a piece positionally. That's how bad his king is in the center of the board. This is also opening up. Opening up. And then get to the side of the board for the cheapo with knight b6, knight d4. And then he had seen this. He had actually seen this. Tricky little tactic. Knight b6, queen c6. You take a rook, I take a knight, and your other knight's stalled out on the side of the board while we have very, very serious threats against the white king. c2, g2, f3. It's a family feud of attacking moves against the white king. So I think it's over. Bishop d4, knight d4, rook a2. Finally found it. Now obviously you have bishop takes c4, which would like pulverize white. But this is really strong too. f3. And now knight takes. Check. King f1. Check. This was a cool idea. Because we're hitting h1, that's mate. You can't take the knight. You get mated in one move. So he goes here. I was thinking if white goes the other way with king g1, can we sack a rook with rook takes f2? That looks really strong. But king e1, dropping the rook. If you take here, he sort of gets away. I mean, black's up a piece. So you can win like this. But you found something more elegant. Knight takes c4, rook g1, bishop c3 check here. And then he didn't play mate in 1. That would be too merciful. So I had the mate in 2, to be exact. White has one more move, obviously. Rook g2, queen d2, mate. Alright, man, that was kind of an onslaught. I've got to hurry up. We've got a submission from Sidan. I've got a whole bunch of games left, 50 minutes to do them. Great game, spectacular camel. I've got 10 minutes per game. We got to get ready for our tournament tomorrow. Sidan, I think, submitted a game for analysis. Alright, Sidan. I don't know how it's pronounced. I guess Sidan. It's like an old Indian name. Traditional Indian name. I'm not sure. Siddhartha. If that's what it reminds me of. So anyway. Sidan is white. Sidan X. E4, C5, knight F3, D6, D4, take. So we've got a standard Najdorf. Bishop G5, E6, Queen D2, and Queen D2. Wait a minute. What is Queen D2? So Queen D2, it's like white's playing the rouser. What's up with Queen D2? Queen D2 is inaccurate. It's Queen F3 or F4. I can't imagine it can be that bad, though. Why should Queen D2 be that bad? The Bishop G5 needs protection after Bishop E7. There are tactics with H6 and Knight takes E4, typically. I've played this position with black. Though I don't know why you couldn't say play F4 now. No, I guess F4, yeah. F4, H6. That's the point. F4, H6, Bishop H4, Knight takes E4. Man, I had a draw like this with black one time in the US Open. I was really pissed. I couldn't win. Senf must have been feeling the same thing here. Knight takes F1, Bishop C7, Knight E3. So this kind of thing. Sometimes you get away. It's really weird. But generally speaking, Queen D2 is not a move. Not a good move, anyway. So you should learn to play the main line with F4 or alternatively Queen F3. Or just not play Bishop G5. Queen D2, Bishop E7, now Bishop D3. Okay. Interesting. Non-traditional setup, but how bad is it? It protects E4, so there's no tactics here. Black has H6 though. I don't understand. What's wrong with H6? There's 5, 6, 7, 8 games here. Bonikas is black in 1. And black has terrible score. So explain to me what's wrong with H6 again, because I don't understand. Why did none of the black players play H6 in this position? If Bishop H4, Knight takes E4, it must be something I see. So the Knight is trapped on D2. After Bishop E7, Knight D2, Bishop D8, there's no escape, and there's nothing to take. If the tactic doesn't work. So h6 doesn't really achieve anything directly. I understand. We could play g5, bishop g3, knight h5. How do you feel about that, my friends? Lovers of the dark squares in the house. I am feeling okay about this, honestly. I think this is legit for black. Peter is not convinced, but I don't know. I don't see any problem. Obviously, there's some weakness around the black king, but how are you going to exploit dark square weakness with no dark square bishop? Bishop e2, knight takes g3, hg. How does white attack? Maybe f4? This looks like a legit way to play, though, for black. Totally legit. Am I missing something? Bishop d3. So there's some games with b5. There's also h6, bishop e3, knight g4. But I don't like that for white either. Strange that none of these guys tried h6. b5 was the most popular. Bonikus managed to beat a player there in 1996. I guess this is good too. Alright, kind of like classical Najdorf style. b5 is good, h6 is good. Probably going to a rouser with knight c6 is also okay. Basically, Sidon's bishop is misplaced on d3 in the rouser. This is no longer a Najdorf after knight c6. So all those options are okay for black. Knight c6, knight e2. Passive and undeveloping. This has to be better for black. Now you have tactics with knight e4. Same thing, bishop e7, knight d2. The knight is trapped. h6. Still h6 is possible. I don't know. h6, still I like it. Where does white go? Maybe in this case, g5, bishop g3 isn't as good. But I still don't see an issue. Black focusing on dark square control keeps white at bay. Not everybody's down with g5 though. Knight e2 is very unusual. Queen c7 looks kind of slow. f4. But this is interesting. I mean, white's position seems playable. What about h6 now? Yeah, black makes a mistake here with e5, I guess. h6, bishop h4, knight e4. Now it works. So h6 here is a problem. Now white has to take, and the dark squares suck. There's no answer to this. So white would have to play bishop takes f6, and I guess he has nothing after bishop f6. Black just has a good game. Dark square bishop's too important to give it up. So queen c7 actually had a benefit there. It took away that bishop takes e7 hit on the queen on d8. But black made a very bad move. Castles. Now the dark squares are weak on e5. Even h6 here is possible. It looks very dangerous to me. Possibly you could sacrifice a piece. I guess it's not enough here. White could try something desperate like h4, but I doubt that's sound. I'm getting kind of dizzy with this position. White is leaving his king in the center. I mean, you got to get yourself to a sane position with your king before playing something like f5. Leaving the king in the center. I think Sudan has done this against me too. So f5, e5. Bishop takes f6. If we had a knight coming to d5, this would make sense, but we don't really have anything here. It's going to take a long time to generate counterplay with g4, g5. Black might have d5 ideas. Yeah, I'm concerned about black though. b5 may be too slow. Well, what can he do? I was looking at this. Is it conceivable? This looks too slow as well for black. I don't know. There's some irrational variations, like something like this. I'm not really certain. Black would like to open the center with the white king still in the center, no matter what. Knight f3, b5, g4, the white king. Dubious here, but at the same time, black's been unable to play d5. He doesn't seem to have counterplay, and white's starting to sort of pulverize him with g5 spatially. I guess if I were black, I would probably play this unprovoked. Maybe bishop d8 directly. If I can't find something more active. Definitely the best move, bishop d8. It can come back out here on b6. Now castle's kingside, knight c4, take. We have an interesting position. Two knights versus two bishops. d5 is the magical move. Black can break out with d5. Maybe it even works here. Because if d5, knight e5, you have queen c7 with this diagonal. I think that white might be in trouble. So he doesn't play d5, rook d8, c3, b3, queen c7, threatening d5. Where is our attack? It's all a little too slow. Can you play c4 and somehow stop d5? You play g6. I don't know how this works, but I was thinking about it. Honestly, I don't know how it works. Like take here, d5. It looks like black is doing well. It looks like black is broken out. But I don't know how to restrain black at this point. So he tried g6, f6, closing it up. And I guess you better take on h7, because if you don't, it's going to get completely locked. So here black ought to consider king h8. Typical King's Indian sort of thing. You know, your king might be safer there. Maybe it's not a problem. Knight h5, dropping e4 pawn. But g7, he sacks the rook, exchange rather. Black can just defend. But suddenly we have tricks like rook takes, g7 check, knight takes f6, and mating threats. I was thinking about this. This almost works. Take here, king h8. Well, take, king h8. Unfortunately, after queen h6, rook h7. Rook h7, knight h7. Queen h7, queen g check. Here. And it looks like black is winning. He's up too much material. So Sudan is really close to something. There's also rook g6. He plays knight g5, sacking a piece. It's not enough. It's not enough. It looks like check, king h3, and white has queen g6 check, but that's it. White has knight, actually white is threatening knight f6 check. That's a win. Wow. But bishop f5. It's over after that. King g3. Now the white king is just open here. Check. Takes. Check. Another check. Rook g7. Running out of pieces now. Yeah. I mean, I think that white needs to take more care in general about his king position. The king safety there was never really 100% for white. How c4 works. The engine was saying it was the best move. I inherently thought it was the best try. I assume we're pinning. But it doesn't work on this. This clearly looks good for black. d5. So it's something else. The recapture somehow. Maybe we can stack up the bishops on the file. If you can stop d5, white could potentially win the game. So it has to be something with those bishops getting like pinned along the b file. Queen takes, rook b1, and possibly here and this skewer. All right, guys. It was a weird opening. White gave up the dark square bishop in a lot of lines. Queen d2 against the knight is not supposed to be quite right, but it's playable, I guess. Okay, move 11, you're up next. All right, move 11. 6+2 game you played on lichess this week. Guys, thanks for supporting the stream and tuning in for our weekly game analysis here on lichess and Twitch. International Master William Paschall. I'm not going to be here for a few days. We'll be back with a brief stream on Monday. I'm going to be playing an over-the-board GM Norm tournament. So move 11 is playing black against g4. I also like e5, knight e7. I've used this, but I think white's best move against e5 may be c4. As you see here, Paschall played against Jeffrey Zhang. Maybe the best way to play the Grob is to not play the Grob. The Groblish with g4, e5, c4. Groblish opening. Bishop g2, e5. Bishop g2, d5. Preventing the Groblish. I had this yesterday, move 11. Bishop g2, c6. And now they're supposed to play c4, right? I'm confusing variations. No. Yeah, c4. But c4 is not great. I guess that was the old line, but it's sort of refuted. What am I thinking? Bishop takes g4, right? Yeah. I had a guy the other day who played this against me. Queen a4 check. That's not a move. White was lost in like 6 moves after that. Queen b3. This is still bad for white though. Alright. But instead we have h3. So white plays d3 like it's hippo, but it's like e3 with the idea of knight e2. Why am I attracted to e3? What's wrong with e3? h5. And if g takes h5, you can just pick it up later. Grab and go. Oliveira Lucas, welcome. We're picking up our last couple of games here for the night. Game analysis. We can't take any more games for analysis. We got enough for tonight. Good to see Oliveira Lucas. So That's bad for white. But I mean, I don't know. Why is d3 safe? d3 is better because it supports g5. Okay, that's the point. Actually, I played a game like this the other day. Last week or something, where I played the Grob on Wednesday. I guess that's the point. So it's better to support g5. Now you can meet h5 with g5. The less... I'm not starting till tomorrow. My tournament is not going. But it will be going tomorrow. So stay tuned for results. Unfortunately, I don't think there'll be live coverage. The organizer is not into the modern live coverage. He's kind of old school. Alright, so white plays d3, knight f6. This is kind of provocative, isn't it, move 11? Like walking into g5. I would think you would opt for a different approach here. Not walking into g5 and keep the knight for knight e7, knight g6. It seems weird to play knight f6. It's not terrible. I mean, obviously you have retreat squares here as well. You can always go back to g8. You could go to h5. But I think what I don't like is that you're obstructing your f-pawn. Maybe, and also obstructing the queen on this diagonal. So bishop d6 with the idea of knight e7. You might be able to break in with f5 yourself. That's another possibility to play this type of thing. I think I'm obsessed with playing knight e7, knight g6, and knight h4. We'll keep our options open. I mean, obviously you could play knight e7 directly. There are some games here. Ivkov did that and lost in 1981. Wow, Larson in 2008. Man, this had to be like one of his latest games. When did he pass away? Larson was now playing the Grob. He's gone too far. Over the edge. Knight f6, c3. This is a really lame move for white. Doesn't seem that relevant here. Bishop d6. Black's just playing solidly. He died in 2010, so that was one of his last tournaments, no doubt. 2008. He was 73. But I don't know if he was playing the Grob, you know. Even in his prime, I don't think he normally played the Grob. The Bird's opening is like one thing. The Grob is clearly worse. Knight d7, bishop g5. This is an awful move by white. It has no point. I'm almost feeling like you should just ignore it. Bishop g5 gets in the way of his g-pawn. I'm not sure what I would do. Queen b6, queen b3, maybe queen c7. I'm a little concerned about this, though, coming into f5. There you can always play g6, though. And you keep your castling options open, though. Mostly you're going to be castling kingside. Who knows? Another good move, ironically, is bishop e7. I don't know. Okay, h6 is not that bad. It's almost like forcing him to put his bishop on a better square. This is not a good square. There is no point in moving the bishop at this point. I mean, white should not move that bishop. He's not playing the Tory attack. Here, bishop e3 is bad. This piece is just begging to get trapped now. Move 11 has some sort of fascination with bishop d7, bishop d6. That's like your last week's game. Knight b3. This is good, though. Now you've got a kind of cohesive formation, stopping any sort of invasion here. Castle either way. You're ready to break on the file. And then the structure goes. Damn. Now his bishop's a little more stable, but his structure sucks. Where's Warnacki? We haven't seen him in forever. a5. You mean you're not castling queenside? a5 is a standard move. Developing the rook from its original square. a4. Now where's white going to castle? And now move 11 played knight f4. Forcing this in a Philidor type structure. Maybe white should castle queenside, like it or not. Possibly king f1 is the ultimate location for the white king. I would think that black would want to like expand and break with g5, g4 later on. I like this. g6, king g7. We'll wait and see. There we go. And now white is lost. b5. Instead of c5, like b5 might be strong too. What does he do after b5? Honestly, it's like lost for white. +2. Close to +2. I don't imagine there's any way he could survive here. Is c5 is good. The obvious problem is that, you know, he does have a fixed square, and it might be a little harder to break through now. So I think b5 was better. A little more fluid and guaranteed you break through. Now it's upscaler bishops. If he locks the white squares. Oh, you win the pawn. I'm sorry, I didn't realize you're winning that pawn. Yeah, I didn't think this was here. Well, in that case, I mean, I guess c5 is better than I thought. I personally still prefer b5 though, because I think the white king will never survive. Okay, it's not that easy. You have to like play g6, king g7, rook b8, rook a, bring all your pieces over to the queen side. This is more direct. Honestly, I don't really like trading queens though. Into an upscaler bishop endgame, there's always drawing chances here. So he's blundered. I mean, yeah, rook d2, and it's still a game. But objectively here, maybe you should avoid the exchange of rooks to maximize your winning chances. Rook e7. I think this is somewhere. I would recommend it strongly. The more pieces you keep on, the better winning chances. But this is stupid. It's like blunder a second pawn. It's game over. There's no way he's surviving 2 pawns down. And I like taking maybe here, but is f4 weak? We don't want to end up losing a pawn. So maybe we have rook h5. You play king g7. Keep this pawn protected. We need that second pawn. This is a bit of a problem. And our b7 pawn, we cannot afford to lose a pawn here. You have stuff though, rook e8. Not really happy with the way this went, but this majority should be winning, I would imagine. It seems like white's chances have gotten better, but ultimately, like, I can't imagine how he can stop you with that queenside blot. This doesn't seem right. We want to move the queenside pawns. I guess he does have h4 though. You want to get the queenside, whatever it is, kingside, queenside, I don't know. We want to get those pawns moving. King f6, g5, game over. He does play h4 though. And there's also the b7 pawn you're obviously going to be concerned about. I mean, if I'm white here, I'd like to trade the knights off and get to a pure opposite-colored bishop ending. Wait, I'm going backward. Okay, here. There we go. But this is a ridiculous move. White has to play h4. And it looks a little hard to make progress, honestly. How do we attack that pawn on h4? After that, you know, it's very possible this is some sort of draw. And I would certainly try for the rest of my life, but you might even be able to sacrifice a piece, man, you know, to do like bishop h4, knight h4, king on f6, and then g5. Could you imagine if we could arrange that? Something like king f6, or maybe bishop c7. Let's just say white just makes waiting moves here, 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 here. Bishop f6, king d3, king here. How are we going to do this, though? You know, we could probably improve our knight somewhere. We could attack the pawn from g2. Knight g3, king d3. Difficult to get to g2. But my point was going to be that we could sack a piece eventually to create 3 connected passed pawns. You know, I mean, this would be a kind of interesting ending to evaluate. Theoretically, if you had this, if you could get to this with these 3, the engine says that black is winning in this position. I wasn't confident it would come to that conclusion. Padron and Tony, welcome. So if you got really desperate how to make progress after h4, I think this is a realistic try. Even if he could sacrifice for one of his pieces for 2 of the pawns, you know, just 1 extra pawn might be enough to win in the remaining endgame. I like my chances here. But anyway, we'll see at the end of the game. I gotta go soon. So knight h4, king f6, it looks like white screwed up. Now g5, you're just roasting him. He's totally lost. So h4. I honestly don't know how it's so easy to win. Let's see what the computer says. King f6, knight g5, king g7, I don't understand. Let's say knight f3. There's a potential way we could get our king to h5 and like bishop on e7. And maybe that's really, really awkward, but maybe there's a way we could get a double attack on the h4 pawn with king on h5. Anyway, interesting endgame, man. He's totally toast after this, though. King f6, g5, it's over. That's it. Everything wins now. I think there was other ways to do it. Probably. An elegant promotion. Alright guys, that's it. So move 11, interesting endgame. Thanks for sharing the Grobe defense. We got 3 games left. So Bob, Berserker. Everyone's a B. Batan, Bob, and Berserker. Bernard, Berserkerman. People are quiet today. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, controversial battle, huh? I wonder if that was scheduled in advance or before or after he was accused of cheating. That's odd. All right. It'll draw more people that way, like a Trump rally. The more controversial you are, the more interesting it becomes. So we've got Batan. Battlestar Galactica. So Tranquilizer versus Batan. Oh, this is what he submits every week? Is this the old one? This is a new one. A week ago. This is the same game. I'm confused. You didn't play the same variation again, did you? This is the game we saw last time. Maybe I messed up. That's the game we analyzed last week. Batan. The same game from last week, right? Tranquilizer versus Batan. 76 mate. 76 mate. I'm going to go into the next game due to confusion. Bob. So, Thursday submission. Peter Thiel against Yermolinsky. Creator of PayPal facing my customer. I thought it was going to be one of my games when I saw Yermolinsky in there. Uncle Yermo has a bad score. But we'll be Uncle Yermo. He's not my student, he's my customer. C4, E6, Knight C3, Knight F6, Knight F3, Knight on BD7, Bishop G5. This is a sharp line to play against anybody. I think the simplest is just CD. But Bishop G5 goes into some sharp stuff. It's, okay, mostly like the Cambridge Springs variation. Actually, is DC4 possible though? Why isn't this played more often? I don't understand. Like, why wouldn't this be possible? You'd think even that move. So Yermo's white. Knight on BD7. Kasparov played this, Queen C2, I think. Bishop G5, C6, CD5, ED5, and this is bad for black, I would assume. No, maybe not. It's a normal exchange variation. Yeah, I mean, it's strange that Yermo would play CD, actually. E3 is the main move. So CD, ED, and then E3. This is kind of quiet. Typical Queen's Gambit exchange variation. Bishop E7, Queen C2, castles, Bishop D3 now. Rook E8. So white has H3 now. That's the main move. Castles is the boring line. There's also H3. Theoretically, white can castle queenside, but that's usually better with a knight on E2, I think. White plays simple. He's playing like a Potzer. I mean, I don't know how strong Peter Thiel is. I have no idea. I mean, I assume he's like a beginner or something. He might be an expert, I don't know. But he's not a master, I don't think. Is he? Possible, he's like a weak master. I'm actually not sure. Knight F8, H3, G6. This is a standard plan. To play Knight E6, Knight G7, and then like Bishop F5 to trade off the white square bishop. So he's 21.99. Rook B1, Knight E6, Bishop H6. Now black would normally play Knight G7. And again, like the plan is Bishop F5. I had a very similar game with black once. But my opponent didn't play H3. Here, Yermo knows a lot of theory in his lines. Bishop H4. I really don't know. You could even take... This is a Kopian versus Kasparov. Taking is like the safest. Bishop f6, bishop f6, b4. I'm just not sure if it's worth it to hang on to the bishop or not with bishop h6. So he doesn't know. I guess the main line is knight g7. Now b4. And now I would assume bishop f5. Is there a problem here? White is probably slightly better. But there's no like fancy tactic or anything. The main idea of black is usually to trade the white square bishops off. But I suppose a5 isn't necessarily bad. What he played. a5, a3, knight g7. I had a very similar game, as I said. So this is your most point, to trade on g7. b4. That's very strange that black... Okay, black does exchange. A, b4. Yeah, that's weird. Yu Yankee when he was 2200, whatever. Take here. Now bishop d6. So, let's stop here for a minute. One classic plan is for black to play b5. If he can fix b5, and then try to transfer his knight to like d6 and c4. If this works, black can often like totally stop white's stuff. I've had a lot of games in the old days. This pawn can become a target as well. And Yermo will try to maneuver maybe knight a2. I don't know how you do it. Knight e2, knight c1. If he plays knight b3, his b pawn falls. So it's kind of tricky for white to win. But instead black played bishop e6, let him do the minority attack. And then there's a couple other games here. Lubo and Jerry Wheeler both won as well. This is like a standard ABC minority attack for white, but it's still probably not that bad. It's surprising that black lost all 3 games, honestly. Rook a3, rook a1, rook a1, rook a1, and now queen e7. Black ultimately would like to attack on the king side, but where does he do it? How does he do it? You know, it looks like he's trying to play maybe knight e4. But honestly, when was this game played? I don't know. It's probably like the worst possible line to play against like Yermolinsky, who's extremely like systematic. You know, there's no complication. You got a very clear plan. A strategic player playing a very clear plan. It's not a good choice. bc6, bc6, knight a4, bishop b7. The bishop is bad. Here, rook c1. Now take. And I mean, maybe, would it be ridiculous to play queen takes e4? I mean, he would have tortured him. I don't know. Either way, white is better. This bishop is non-existent. Now it's a little existent. Black just goes for it with f4. Obviously e4 is dropping, but he has some attack on the king side. Smart guy has some good ideas. Yermo takes a pawn. Take. This is kind of a weakness. But c6 is hanging. I mean, you can't be like dropping multiple pawns here. What is black to play now? I don't know. I don't know what to suggest for black. We need help on Sunday, guys. Don't forget, play for the team on Sunday. I'm playing over the board. I don't know what black's supposed to play now. We can't afford to lose the second pawn. What do we play, like bishop d7 or something? That doesn't look great. So I played this. That's cool. He found a tactical solution, taking here and then taking down here. And Yermo found a defense of e3. Happy to trade that for that. Keeping the threat alive. Now bishop f5, knight f2. Hunkering down. Once again, we cannot afford to lose the second pawn. And so that's the second pawn. He just like miscalculated, I guess, that his rook, you know, you can't take on c5 because of rook c5. Bad choice of opening by Peter Thiel. D takes, rook b8, c6, bishop d6. And you're almost up 2 pawns now. Tactical position. And that's it. Just very careful. I would think just like knight f3 now. Getting closer. This is kind of cautious. I like knight f3 better. Eventually he just breaks through with the pawn. Thanks, Bob. Kind of a standard game by Yermolinsky in that minority attack. Alright guys, last 2 games for today, or maybe last game for today. The Berserker submitted a game. Got Berserker, Rapid Chess, Berserker versus Vyacheslav. Vyacheslav Eingorn. Yeah, we've had 3rd place 2 weeks in a row, Asterbait. Join us for Sunday's Streamer Battle, guys. 3 p.m. CEST on Sunday. This is Berserker playing white. A 2200. 12 plus 5. Caro-Kann. Knight d7 variation. This is the best move, theoretically. Most aggressive. Bob, who's counting? I won't be doing a simul this week, though. Keep in mind. I am playing over the board all this week and through next week. Following Sunday, we'll be back to the normal schedule. I will do some brief streams on Monday and Wednesday mornings. Knight f6. I hope I don't have any losses in my tournament. Bishop c4. So, theoretically, this is also an interesting move. Knight on d to f6. This is the famous game where Kasparov lost on purpose against the computer. That's just a conspiracy theory, but I like conspiracy theories. Some of them might be true. Anyway, knight g5, knight on g to f6 is the main line. But now, I guess black can also play e6 there, right? That's also possible. What you definitely don't want to do is like h6. Although there are games with this. I know this is a line. Here letting white like take the knight on f8. Knight f8, knight f8. Knight f8 snuggles played white against knight f8. I don't think so, Bob. You maybe have the wrong kid. This one doesn't look that good. It's different, you know. They're different players. They're not all good. Not every, like, 14-year-old prodigy is going to be 2700. Some are more talented than others. Knight gf6, bishop c4. I guess this is the main line. Bishop c4 here, queen e2. I used to play this for black. But something's weird about this. Knight d7, knight g5, knight f6, bishop c4. Yeah, okay, that's what it is. You're supposed to play bishop d3. No, I can't draw, man. I have to win. I could draw the guy in my sleep. That's ridiculous. I don't need a draw, Big Jim. I have to win, you know. I need 6.5 points out of 9 in this tournament. I don't want to draw with this guy. He's easy to draw against. Anybody can draw against him. He has like a million draws. I could draw if I wanted, but I want to draw. I have to win. That's the point. You know? Give me a break, man. I've beaten like 50 grandmasters, Bob, in my life. Beating this guy is not like a big deal, you know? Knight f6, bishop c4. I like bishop d3 better. Bishop d3. This is a different line though. Bishop c4, e6, queen e2, knight b6, bishop b3, h6, knight f3. Yeah, so the c5 and a5 are the main lines here. He's not a grandmaster. Not even close. Bob, alright, I'm going to have to time him out. It's really irritating now. The guy's not even close to grandmaster. I don't even think he has any norms. So, whatever. It's ridiculous. Bishop e3. If my mommy and daddy like took me to every tournament where I played 2500s every single game, I could be 2500 too, you know. The problem is that it's hard because I'm playing like 2100s and 2200s all the time. You know, if you force this guy to play 2100s and 2200s all the time, he wouldn't be 2500. It's just that he gets like credit for being 2500 and all these like Serbian grandmasters just like give him draws. It's not real, you know. A lot of it is sort of getting credit for something that's not there. If I played every single opponent I played was an average of 2500, I think I could probably maintain it. But my problem is I can't afford to play in like Gibraltar and Aeroflot every week. If I had like a millionaire sponsor, I would be a grandmaster too. Let's see, h6, knight f3, bishop d6. So I vote for c5 here. But I get tired of it. Like, there's too many chess players at the top that are only at the top because they're rich. It's becoming like an elitist sport like golf. Maybe it was always like that. I don't know, you know. But if you're not a member of the private Carlson Club, and who are the players who get grandmaster titles? All of them are like rich kids. Who goes to play at like Gibraltar? All these like elite tournaments. Yeah, or you're friends with like a Republican billionaire or something. Yeah, I know. The bishop d6 is weird. Like, I'll tell you though, I never had good results. My best result with this line with black was like drawing with Danny Gormally, 2 pawns down in a knight end game. I gave it up after that. Like, I have a terrible score with black. Black has to try to break though with c5. So knight e5. The problem is this knight on f1 or g1. You get the other one to f3. And then your development is like sorted out. So I think this move is highly suspicious, bishop d2. It's not clear what we're doing after that. I guess we're just waiting. It's probably not like a relatively neutral move, though. You saw the option to castle queenside. You saw the option to play knight e5. You're not committing yourself. Black, it's hard for black to do anything, too. Now c5 is dumb because he wasted a tempo. He could just castle kingside. Now, if he castles kingside and you castle queenside and you go berserk with like something like g4, maybe you have a very strong attack. I don't know. Perhaps after bishop d2 he should play a5 anyway. That's what he did. First he castled. Maybe he should play it first right away. Do this to try to talk you out of castling queenside. Bob is fired as my inspirational mental coach. What kind of guy would like come to the stream and say I'm going to lose tomorrow? I should ban him from the stream for that. It's just totally wrong. Castles queenside a5. Even DK guy wouldn't do that. Castles queenside a5, c3, a4, bishop c2. Yeah, now it's like white's alright. What does the engine say? After bishop d2, a5. I would play a5 first. Now, are you still going to castle queenside if he goes a5 first? I don't know, you know. So I think that's black's better move. You did the right thing though, castling queenside. Going for it here with c3. And now if a3, b3. I'm not sure he should even play a3, honestly. I don't know. Maybe black can play for b5, b4 somehow. Is a3 automatically the best move or not? Okay, this is scary. Like b4 and knight c3 check. White's kind of slow on the other side. Bob, the power of positive thinking is like the most important thing for a competitor. You don't ever like plant negative ideas in their heads if you like them. How irritating is that? I lost all love for you with that comment. I'm very, very sensitive. You know that. It's just not nice. Queen a5, especially when I'm tired. Like, I work all day and I do the stream and I come here to help you guys get better at chess, even though I'm like physically exhausted. And then you're like trolling me when I'm extra tired. Like, that's likely to result in a disaster. At the very end of my stream, when I'm exhausted, I need to go to sleep, you're gonna start. So black doesn't have a way to break through. What happened here? Did black have another way though? You know, is there another way to do this? This is kind of amazing. And then blam, knight g5, forced win. Feels like a computer lie. He doesn't have to take. If he takes, it's over, obviously. Can't do that. The problem with white's position is that he doesn't have to take, but how does black break through? Very hard. I mean, I see ways that white can improve his attack. Like, theoretically, c5, try to open up the long diagonal for black here. It looks really slow. Queen a5. I was thinking f4. It might even be better. Instead of putting our knight on h3, we can put our knight on f3. There's something to be said for this. Okay, the engine just wants to play like knight e4. But I guess deep down, I'm a little bit worried about the knight on h3. Where is it going from there? I would say f4 and then try to play knight f3. But you can always bring your knight back to e4. And black played e5. I didn't understand this was his plan. You can cut him off with c5. So what's happening there? He just goes back to c7? What am I talking about? His bishop's attack. What does he do if you play c5? I mean, bishop g4 is nothing. But he could confuse the issue a lot here. Some sort of weird sequence. But ultimately the H file will open up for white. Yeah, I don't know. It looks good for white. Even knight h3. But see, like my move, instinctively, even though I didn't think about it consciously, about e5, I'm clamping down on that e5. My main concern is that your knight gets to a good square. This would have pretty much shut him down, though. I think his only counterplay would have been with c5 now. So he tries e5. What about c5? Is that the best move? No. The computer likes a simple knight e4. I have to admit, like, your knight is bad. The h3 knight is bad. You found knight e4. And now you've got the white squares. And now h5 is met by bishop f5. So the question is now what? Well, if the white square gets traded, you still have a solid blockade. Bishop f5 isn't necessarily a big deal. So would he just shut him down with d5 now? You have to wonder about this. If you just close it up with d5. Morphy was rich. I guess chess has always been a sport for the elite. But, you know, I don't think it should necessarily be a sport for the elite. h5, bishop f5. Is d5 better? Like, I kind of like this. I would think cd5, rook d5. The computer thinks that black can defend. The plan would be like to play for h5 at all costs, try to undermine his white squares. I'm not sure if he has enough counterplay or not. So you went here. You went with h5 right away. Maybe that's better, honestly, but I'm not sure. Here, undermining the white squares, taking this pawn. Wow. Yeah, I missed the pawn take. I thought you were just gonna come back. It's not fast enough, I guess. You need this tempo. You need the tempo hitting f6. Now does black have rook a6? Found it. You transposed the ratings to titles. Yeah, I thought so. We'll get to that when we get to it. That explains a lot. Noob. You're a noob. Tournament chess noob. Bob. Typical tournament chess noob mistake. Rook a6, queen d5. And now you're looking at endgames. Now that you won a pawn, and the c file can't open up. But doesn't black have pawn takes pawn here? I don't like this all that much. How bad is this allowing pawn takes pawn? Can we still construct a blockade? Black has a protected pass pawn on the 6th rank. Man. After rook a6, you could also play queen b5. I'm curious what the engine says. I don't know. I'm too tired. Queen b5 is the best move. I'm concerned here because the point is, if you play queen b5, if he trades queens, you're on his rook, and you have time to like take on e5, and he doesn't have 2 connected passed pawns. My concern is here. You're almost winning, but now he gets 2 connectors, and this, this is not a joke. These pawns here. You have a really strong blockade on the white squares, but at the same time, what can you do? Your passed pawns are limited. This is isolated, and this one is protected passer, but it's only on the 3rd rank. And if you ever move it up, it falls, you get crushed. So this is kind of a touch and go ending. I thought you were clearly better the whole game. This is the first time that black's been like, okay. But I don't know what he should do here. g5, I guess, is correct. It's another pawn on the dark squares, but the d5 pawn falls. You're not happy. Did he miss 92? I didn't even think about it. I was so obsessed with you blockading. You're just going to go after the pawn instead. Black has to play really well in this position. The problem is that the hanging pawn there. By h6, I mean, let's say he plays rook d6 or something. Pawn takes pawn. Pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn. Now what? Knight takes pawn. And I guess, like, white is winning. Knight takes pawn, rook here, knight f4. I'm not sure, but white is not worse, I don't think. What the heck is black's best move in this position? After takes, knight f4. g5 is the best move, knight d3 is the best move, but what's wrong with knight e2? It looks like a good move. I don't understand. Why is this wrong? Wow. So rook e8. Black has rook e8. Knight d4, bishop d4, rook d4, rook e2 check. King c3. Rook takes a2. It's a very sharp position. Here, takes, rook takes, rook e2 check, king takes, rook takes a2, pawn on the 6th, but your pawn is 3 squares from queening. I'm not at all thinking this is a problem. That's actually winning for white, almost. So I don't get it. What's the problem here? I don't get it. Why is this okay for black? Rook d8, knight d4, rook d5. Easy question, easy answer. Wow. So you should have blockaded with g5, knight d3. But it looks like this is falling. You've got a fork threat. Man, that does look scary. It looks like white is passive. Tied down by the 2 pawns. That is a tough judgment. What do you do here? Honestly, like, black is really lucky to get to this position. What if you take on g6 too? What am I saying? Okay, here, knight e2, knight d3, rook d6. Now what do you play? You have this, and black has rook b8. Now knight c6, and knight takes d4. Still not so clear. I want to see this with a computer. g5, knight d3. So you're worse. Knight d3, rook d6. If knight b4, rook b8, knight c6, rook e8, knight takes d4, and then he takes again. So it's basically similar to the game, but worse. I mean, where did it go wrong? Yeah, when you traded queens. It's surprising, but this is the better move. So, now you're worse. Here, 92. Here, take, take. Now how do we defend? Can you defend this position? King side is even pawns on the queen side, but taking c3 is like fatal. So knight e2, rook here, threatening rook d2 check. Damn. Does that even work? That's crazy. Does that even work? You can take on c3. Rook d1, rook d1, rook c6, rook d3, king g7, king d2. So, you're alright. Did he mess up? He messed up here. Rook f5 or something? Yeah. Black has rook e6. It's a crazy move. Rook e6 or rook e5. This was a mistake, and he drops the pawn back. And white's okay. Wow. Now he has enough maybe for a draw, but it's possible you win by b4, king b3. If you win the a-pawn, it's over. Could you have played b4? This looks seriously screwed for black, like he's losing after king b3. Probably. You're just winning with b4. I mean, maybe you're winning anyway. I don't know. This isn't as good though. Here. That's a very long process. You got the pawn anyway. So now you're winning. Wow. Yeah, both sides made a lot of mistakes in the endgame. Is this enough to win though? King c6. You got him. He's got to play king d7. King d6 doesn't work. Does it? Does it matter? No. It doesn't matter. You're winning. Are you winning? Oh my god. Maybe you're not winning. Oh my god. He gets in. So rook takes a5, bishop takes a5. Are we having problems with the stream? No, we're finishing up. This is a crazy ending. b6. b6 here. King b5. But you don't need king b5. So this is just a blunder. You just play b7. That's the whole point. This is a silly mistake. Just b7. Obviously, you know, even here it's over. King d5. So that's just not necessary. I'm a little concerned, you know, here black could swindle you. And now it is come to fruition. This was not easy though. It's some amazing line. King d6, king f2, king e5, f4, Pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn. Get back and surround the F pawn. Here. And then you win at the end with the race by a tempo. Here. That's crazy. But none of this had to happen. But now it's a draw. King F2, knight G8, take here. Yeah, there was a silly mistake by white at the end there. With King B5. I mean, this should be no even contest here. Yeah, it was an interesting game. Thanks, guys, for joining me. I got to get out of here, prepare for my tournament tomorrow, where I'm going to do my best and have only positive thoughts influence my results. I'll see you guys later. Thanks from Naponda and myself. Don't forget to support the team this Sunday. Thanks for your support, for subscribing. Thanks, guys. Thanks, guys. Sometimes I throw my voice like that. We'll see you Sunday for the streamer battle. I'm in charge this week while he's not here. Ha, party. Bye-bye.